আমরা কিন্তু ইউটিউব যাচ্ছি।
Hello, sir.
You are audible. We are just time to start. We are getting some. Hello. Yes, little bit of.
Yes, sir.
Good evening. I'm here. Oh,
what you said about my audio?
Yes, sir, it is okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
It's okay, sir. Okay, sir. Yes, sir.
Is it okay? Yeah, okay. Because I'm not using the headphone, no.
You are audible enough, sir.
The audio, good, good, good. Okay.
You are
Yeah.
enough audible,
Yes, sir.
sir.
Yes, sir. You are
Everything
audible.
is fine, sir.
Okay. Yeah.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Yeah, and
Oh,
this is good.
oh,
No,
although it's good morning, sir, because
exactly. Yeah, it's good morning. You know. Yeah.
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, by the way, are you recording this lecture?
Yes, sir.
Oh, that's good, 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 good. Yeah, yeah. And do you have any kind of idea about how much time I have so that I'll be
That as per you wish, sir.
Ah, so that means for whole night for you.
No.
Sorry, we request you to make your presentation. If you make your presentation within 40 to 45 minutes, then we can have a discussion session after your lecture, sir. For
Oh,
15
okay. No,
25 minutes.
okay. Yeah, yeah. Maybe I'll try.
But
Because
sir, that is your discretion. So it is your discretion. You take
okay,
your time.
sure. Okay. Yeah. যাকে বলে আমার পূর্ণ স্বাধীনতা আছে।
Yes, sir.
Sir, can we start, sir?
Oh, you want to start? Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, sir. Okay. Jumur.
But other people, no, because everybody knows it is 7 o'clock, so it is still 3 minutes to 7. So I'm thinking, the
Okay, sir.
audience.
We will start at just 7 a.m. for your side and 7 p.m. from our side.
Exactly. That's what is called IST, Indian Standard Time, not Indian Stretchable Time.
No, sir. We will choose the first option.
Right, exactly. Oh, I see someone whom I heard of a lot, Dr. Jhumur Sengupta.
Yes, sir. I have seen your videos.
Okay. And there is somebody also, I forgot, what's her name? Ranjini Lahiri. Is she here?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Oh, where are you? I don't see you. You are hiding somewhere.
My video is switched off.
Okay,
Can you
that's good. That's
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Your voice is good enough for me. Okay.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah,
Yes,
because
sir, I've heard a lot about you from Moshumi and Kajol. They're my friends.
Oh, really? Okay. I hope these are all good things.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Kajal and Mousami are my, long-time students, and now they're no longer my students. They are now like my boss, both of them.
And in 2019, I went to Anushtu Basu. Do you know him? Monisha
Oh,
and
I know
Anushtu.
Anushtu. Yeah, Ratu. Yeah.
Yeah, we went to their place in Urbana Champagne. At that time, it would have been better if we could have seen.
Oh, really? You were here? Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
In 2019 October, it was.
Oh, 2000, not too far. Oh, you came the right
No,
time.
no,
It was just
before
before the COVID. Yeah.
And we were to Moshumi's place also.
Oh, in New York?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Good. So, are you in which department? You are in?
I'm economics.
Oh, you are in economics too. My goodness. Good to have a company. Yeah.
And my father was a professor of ISI from the early 60s. He retired on 1990.
Okay. But which department your father was?
Economic Research Unit, IRU.
Oh, he really? Yeah, you too. Oh, I was a student there, so maybe he didn't teach me, but
But maybe we had some kind of intersection, I hope. Maybe.
Okay. So তুমি তাহলে তো আমার হয়ে গেলে গুরু কন্যা।
এবার শোনা যাচ্ছে না। আমি আমার ছবি দেখতে পাচ্ছি, ওনার ছবি দেখতে পাচ্ছি, আর শুনতে পাচ্ছি না। হ্যালো।
Yes, sir, you are audible. Principal sir, you are audible, sir.
Principal sir, শোনা যাচ্ছে স্যার আপনাকে।
ঠিক আছে। ওকে। ঠিক আছে তরুণ, ঠিক আছে।
স্টার্ট করব কি?
স্টার্ট করছি স্যার।
Jumur,
Sure.
we will start after The participants will be joined for a few seconds, after few seconds, and we will just show the rules and regulation just for one time. Okay.
Oh,
Then
sure,
you can start. Okay.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
জয় ভিডিও অফ করে রাখবো তো নাকি করবো?
হ্যাঁ ম্যাডাম,
এখন ভিডিও অফ করবো?
Everybody is requested to please switch off their video. We will just go through some rules and regulation for the participants. Thank you very much.
Good morning, Anil Da from New York.
ও হ্যালো, আমি ভাবছিলাম হঠাৎ করে একদম পরিচিত মুখ দেখছি, আমি হঠাৎ আমি ভাবলাম কি হলো। গুড মর্নিং।
Good morning. Anil Da, I would like to introduce Ranjini Di also. I was talking.
I already got introduced.
Okay.
You have introduced.
We already got introduced. You know, I already got her curriculum vitae.
Okay.
No, rather say biodata. Because we talked about her father, no? So
Yes,
that's the real biodata.
Exactly. That's what I told. I video off করে দিলাম।
Jumur, you can start.
Good evening all. Welcome to the international webinar jointly organized by Department of Economics and Department of Mathematics in collaboration with IQSC, Dinabandhu Andrews College. The topic of today's webinar is from where do research ideas in economics, mathematics, finance and statistics come, a case study. We are privileged to have with us Professor Anil Bera, Professor of Economics, University of Illinois, USA, as today's webinar speaker. Welcome, sir. First of all, I request respected Principal Sir, Dr. Somnath Mukhopadhyay, to say a few words to inaugurate the webinar.
থ্যাংক ইউ ঝুমুর। শুভ সন্ধ্যা অথবা গুড মর্নিং, যারা ইউএসএ তে আছেন গুড মর্নিং।
Exactly.
It is my great privilege to deliver the welcome address to the international webinar jointly organized by the Department of Economics and Mathematics in collaboration with the Internal Quality Assurance Cell of our college. As the topic of the webinar suggests, it is going to be unique from the theoretical perspective on one hand and the applied aspect on the other. The duet of economic thoughts and mathematical analysis will certainly surface many new and novel ideas from which both teachers and the students of our college will be largely benefited. I am happy to see that the main speaker
Sir, voice is not coming.
Sir, please unmute yourself. Sir, please unmute yourself. You are not audible, sir. Sir, please unmute yourself. You are not audible, sir. Principal, sir.
Hello, Principal, sir.
hello.
Sir, last
Yes, sir, please continue.
last 3 to 4 lines we have
not missed your last 3 to 4 lines,
condition. So
Can
please,
you
sir,
tell me at what time was audible?
Sir, after just you have started, and after a few lines,
After
2 to 3 lines, it is not properly audible from our side. So
I
can
was
you, sir,
talking
repeat?
about
I
the
request
fact
you to.
that the topic of the webinar suggests that it is going to be unique from the theoretical perspective on one hand and the applied aspect on the other. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
The duet of economic thoughts and the mathematical analysis will certainly surface many new and novel ideas from which both teachers and the students of our college will largely be benefited. I am happy to see that the main speaker of today's webinar, Professor Anil Bera, who is a professor of economics at the University of Illinois, USA, is the son of our motherland. I hope that the eloquence of Professor Bera, together with in-depth discussion on the subject, is going to be both enjoyable and beneficial for all of us. My sincere regards to all the teachers and the students joining this webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your encouraging words. Now I request Dr. Sajal Jana to introduce our respected speaker, Professor Anil Kumar Bera. Dr. Jana, over to you.
Good evening to everybody. It's a privilege for me to introduce today's speaker, respected Sir Professor Anil Kumar Bera. I really feel honored to take this opportunity. Professor Bera is presently attached with University of Illinois, USA. His present affiliation is Professor of Economics, College of Law, Affiliated Professor of Statistics, College of Law, and Adjunct Professor of Finance, College of Business, Adjunct Professor of Agricultural and Consumer Economics, College of ACES. Professor Bera is already renowned among economics fraternity for the test of normality, namely Jark-Bera test. Normality is one of the assumptions for many statistical tests like t-test or f-test. But before running this test, Jark-Bera is usually used to confirm normality. The test is named after Honorable Charles M. Jark and respected Professor A.K. Bera sir. The scholarly article relating to Jark-Bera test is a test for normality of observation and regression residuals published in International Statistical Review in the year 1987. All of us will be proud to learn that the article has been cited more than 3,300 times as per the record of Google Citation Index. It's really great, sir. Professor Bera is recipient of several awards. Of them, I would like to mention a few. He has received the Economics Graduate Students Organization Award for Excellence in Graduate Teaching 8 times since the year 1989, and the College of Commerce Alumni Association Outstanding Teaching Award for Graduate Teaching in the year 1991, and Honorable Mentor of Campus Award for Excellence in Graduate and Professional Teaching in the year 2005. Professor Bera has more than 200 research articles in national and international journal of repute. It may be more than, sir. His research publications include the journals, namely Economic Letters, International Economic Review, Journal of Statistical Computation and Simulation, Journal of Statistical Theory and Practice. Sir has taught in several national and international universities across the world as visiting professor. Now, may I request respected Sir Professor Bera to deliver his speech for today's webinar. Please, sir, session is over to Professor Bera now.
Okay, thank you so much, Sajal, for such a long introduction. I'm not sure I deserve that, and also I can live up to your.
Welcome, sir. Thank you so much.
And so, I must say, I'm really so happy to give a talk at Dinabandhu Andrews College. And you may not know, this college is very familiar to me in some sense. And not that I never entered the college, okay? বাংলা যেটা বলে না ভিতরে প্রবেশ করি সে সাহসটা ছিল না, but I passed through the college I don't know how many times, Okay, because I was a student at Narendrapur College. I spent Narendrapur 4 years, so you can imagine Narendrapur and Goria is not too far. And once you are Goria, you are near we used to call it DSC, because Dinabandhu in this college was a big name, so you used to call it DSC. Okay, and so, but again, no, whenever I give a talk, I still get nervous because DSC I never been there. Okay, and Sojol was the only my connection for the last couple of weeks. Okay, so I got little prepared for my talk. Okay, so as you can see, I have even our Ravi Thakur with me, in my shirt as a Burma. Then I have also, you can see that even I got Goddess Saraswati with me to, give inspiration. And also in memory of, Charles Andrews, I have the Sandiniketan chador or shawl. And if something I required, a heavy thing to throw some people, I have this, this beautiful stone. So don't ask me difficult questions. Then instead of answer, you might get it hit by this, beautiful Venus. Okay. Anyway, so as you see, the title is a little long. I try to put almost everything there. Okay, but of course, as you can guess, I won't be able to cover everything. Okay, so but I'll try to connect many things. Okay, so when I was talking about the research, it is more about assimilating many things and connecting many things. Okay, so this is the theme of my talk will be connecting things. Okay, and so what I'll do, I'll just go to my slides, and then I might do back and forth, slide talk and okay. So let me go to sharing the screen with my slides. So let me do that. Okay, can you see the slide completely clear? Or I need to make
yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is clearly visible, sir.
Oh, it's clearly visible. Okay, let me see whether I can. Oh, no. I made a mistake. I was trying to do something. Okay, so clearly visible. Okay. So this is the, you can see the title of the talk. Okay, and already you know this. Okay. Now, as I said, I have been to near. I have been in the neighborhood of your college. Okay. Yeah. So as you know, this is the view you get of your college from the Subodh Chandra Mollik Road. And again, I must say my classmates and we went, to this place, of course, not to DSC. We went to somewhere else. I'll come to that. Okay. So first I want to pay my deep respect to this great man, Charles Freer Andrews. Okay. So I should not be talking about it. You know a lot more, but this is the man I greatly respect. Okay. And again, one of my biggest interest is, of course, Ravi Thakur. So I came to know a lot about, Andrews, Reverend Andrews, through the speeches and his time at Santiniketan. Okay, so, and I think we have to kind of think about a person like Andrews. Okay, if I have to describe him in a kind of critical way, what he will be like Bidesi, Bibhasi, Bidhormi. Okay. Now you can imagine a person coming from outside and thinking so deeply about India. It's remarkable. Okay, I mean, we have our Ravi Thakur, Swami Vivekananda, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose. Of course, they did. I'm not going to undermine them. They work for India. They are Indian. Okay, but I was trying to find out how many Indians went out to help some other countries. There are some, but it will be hard to name many. So the person like Dinabandhu Andrews is rare. Like Dinabandhu Andrews or say Sister Nivedita, I think their contribution is far more remarkable because they came from outside, but took India almost as their own country and help us completely selflessly. So I would say, although he was a Bideshi, Bibhasi, Bidhormi, he was more than a Swadeshi, Swabhasi, and Swadhormi. So I always feel kind of, Bangla যেটাকে বলবে একাত্মতা with, Reverend Andrews. Okay, so that's what I will tell. Okay, so that is the college, Reverend Andrews, and then this is the place. So I have not visited this place for many, many years, almost for 50 years. So can anybody update me on this place? What's going on? What movie is going on there?
Yes, sir. This is, hello, sir.
Yes.
Sir, this is the place of a cinema hall. It is the name of the cinema hall is Padmasree Cinema Hall. The
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's very familiar. We used to go to this cinema hall. That's the way only I passed the Dinabandhu Andrews College. So this is our destination. Okay, because for Narendrapur to get out, it was see Narendrapur. I hope not many people are from Narendrapur. It was like almost like a jail khana. So we had to kind of get out of this long high walls and take 80A or 80B bus, come to Godia, and then go to this cinema hall, Padmasree Cinema. Okay, so a lot of good things has been etched in my memory of this place. Okay, yeah, so okay, so that is about the little introduction. And so let me try to go into the talk. As I said, the title is too long. Okay, and so I was not sure exactly where to start, but I just recognize that this lecture is jointly organized by Mathematics and Economics department. Okay, so let me go with mathematics first. Okay, what is mathematics and how it is its connection? Okay, as we know that we say mathematics is mother of all science. Okay, and that's not exaggeration. Okay, and so let us look at mathematics. Can you see this mathematics? That's the way you can look at mathematics. Okay, it's guiding everything else. Okay, and as I said, the connection. See, mathematics is a very hard subject. In fact, when I was beginning of high school, or even from my early days, I loved mathematics, just numbers. I loved numbers. So I thought, okay, mathematics is numbers. I want to be a mathematician. Okay, because I can deal with, I can do something, jog, biyog, gun, bhag, matha. Okay, and then when I was the beginning of high school, what happened, then I had a classmate. His name was called Madan Mohan Maiti, and now I would call him 3M. And I found out that this little boy could do any math before the math teacher, Pulin Das, will tell the problem, particularly those problems, those choubacha joler problem and say badorer toilakto base otha. And I was not very good at those. So I thought, even in high school, if I have to compute a person like Madan Mohan Maiti, nobody will know about me. So I gave up mathematics. So see, mathematics is not for everybody. I have to say that. It is almost, I think, either you have it or you don't have it. Okay. Okay. So, but one thing we can do, look at all those subjects. You may not be able to do mathematics, but you can do mathematical things. Like I put everything, like in fact, I started my research in doing called mathematical economics. Can you see in the front that economics? In fact, that's the way I started, mathematical economics. But again, you can have everything, mathematical physics, even mathematical chemistry, now called mathematical biology. Okay. And what happened? You may not be able to do mathematics, but you can use mathematics in certain field and make a fantastic contribution. And that's the assimilation. So those who are like me, not gifted enough to do mathematics, so don't lose heart. There is a plenty of things that you can do. Okay, okay. So that is the mathematics. Okay, and as I said, I wanted to be a mathematician, so I gave up very quickly. Then I thought, okay, now physics is a fantastic subject. I had a fantastic physics teacher, Shama Prasad Misra. And so physics became alive in our class. I said, no, I want to become a physicist. Then no, people said, no, there is no job in physics. Okay, it was I finished my high school in 1971, the tough time, if you can anybody remember. Those are not the best of times. And she said, no, you need some subject. So then I turned into statistics in Narendrapur College. That's why I did my statistics degree, statistics honors, and physics and mathematics pass. And then I found out, I even cannot do statistics. Statistics, at some stage get very hard. And then I did, switch to economics. But then I didn't like economics. It is like, economics, after doing, being interested in mathematics, physics, and statistics, economics, look like some subject is not science at all. So then I switched to something econometrics. Okay. And what is good about econometrics? Econometrics is almost like, poor man's mathematics. Okay. If you cannot do mathematics, then you can water down yourself, and then you can do econometrics. And that's what I've been doing for some time. And now, looking back, I think I made a good decision. Keep on switching, according to my low ability, and ending up with the subject called econometrics. Okay. Now, again, what is econometrics? Just like as I said, thus mathematics to other science or to engineering, econometrics is to economics. It's a language, or I would rather call it a tool. In econometrics, we devise tool which can be used in any field of economics, whether it is a labor economics, regional economics, industrial organization, urban economics, it can be used in any field. So it is used by everybody. So that means all the economics profession depends on us. And again, when I was looking, doing pure economics, I had a lot of problem, to reconcile with this. It didn't look like a science. But with econometrics, economics become a science, because then you can deal with the data and verify your theory. I think that's all I call science. Okay, I remember, in my class 9, when Shama Prasad Mishra, the physics teacher, wanted to tell, you are in the science stream, mean big gun. And he explained, big guns mean bises gan. And that's what is science. That the gain, that you knowledge that you achieve, it can be verified. It is not just somebody saying something. It can be verified. And that means with the use of econometrics, we can verify a lot of the economic theory with the real data. And so that's what I started my career, developing tests. So sometimes say, developing test is my livelihood. That means, whenever you build any model, not only in economics, in physics and other field, there is already, a number of underlying assumptions. And before we use these models, we must test those assumptions, whether they're true. If those assumptions are not valid, then your model will not be valid. Okay, so that is the connection I trying to build around you, how everything is connected, and you can apply a technique developed in one science and apply it to completely unrelated science and can get something fantastic. Okay, and that can be a huge contribution. Okay. Okay, so that's the kind of overall theme. So that's why, but I have to know, as I said, I have a case study. I cannot talk about too many. So I will talk about one case study, which will again encompass everything, economic theory, then statistics, then data, and verifying the theory and coming up with something new. Okay, And that new thing I'll be talking about, which almost covers the whole area of economics. Okay, but it has many components. So I want to go through this. Okay, and another reason for this, that everything that happened, it happened at my current place at the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign. Okay, so I have, some kind of a direct, in Bengali, I can say it like a nadir joke. Okay, whatever happened, then what I'm going to talk about. Okay, and also there is a huge Indian connection too, particularly the ISI, Indian Statistical Institute, where I studied. Okay, so this is almost like talking about my whole, life story. Okay, although it happened, before my career started, but it started exactly the time, I was born in 1955. Oh, by the way, your college is, I think, started in 1956, and I was born in 1955. So your college is 1 year younger than me. But in terms of contribution, influence, I'm sure it has, a million times more, contribution, in terms of, producing student or, whatever way you measure it. Okay. Okay. So, and what I'm going to talk about, when we do modeling in, econometrics or any other, you will see, we'll start with a linear model. That's why, when you start teaching econometrics, what do you start with? You start with a linear regression. And you can finish the whole course with the linear regression. And econometrics started like this. Everything was linear. They'd be huge. But again, linear system can be very huge. Like, in econometrics, we have called linear simultaneous system. It's a linear, but it's a huge system. But non-linearity, people recognize that something can be non-linear, but people didn't have the idea how things can be non-linear. Okay, because to move from linearity to non-linearity is not a trivial thing. Okay, and so I always go to my guru. I have many gurus. This is one of my gurus, as you can see. This is Leo Tolstoy, and I am sure many of you are very familiar with his work. So I'll quote this work, Anna Karenina. And if you read the first line of Anna Karenina, this is the first line. All happy families resemble one another. Each unhappy family is unhappy in its own way. So when the family are happy, happy. Unhappy, it can be unhappy for so many reasons. And exactly same way. When you talk about linear model, they're all same. Y is equal to A plus BX. Linear line. But once you say non-linear, no. The non-linearity can appear so many ways. Okay. So here I'm going to talk about a huge jump in econometrics coming from linear model to non-linear model. How did it happen? Okay. So, just like, going to the moon. It was like going to the moon, that one step for one person, but it was a giant step for the all econometrician. And I am very proud that one person was an Indian guy. I'll come to that. Okay. And this is the guy I am going to talk about. Minhas. His name is Bagicha Minhas. And so what was the linear model in economics that time? It was called Cobb-Douglas production function. From Cobb-Douglas production function, he went to something called CES production function, constant elasticity of substitution production function. Although it is called production function, but this is like a universal function. Used not only in economics, I have seen many other fields, people are using this particular function. And this was published in 1961. That means exactly 60 years ago. Okay, so I can call this year 60 years of CES. Okay, 60 years of CES. But again, if you look at this author, this is not only Bagicha Minhas. It is, Arrow, a Nobel laureate. He passed away 3 years back. Hollis Bichanari, he passed away. Minhas himself passed away 2005. And Robert Solow, another Nobel laureate, he's still alive. Okay. And this story, as far as I know, is never got published. And how did I get this story? One of the co-author, the first co-author, Kenneth Arrow, Nobel laureate Arrow. So I had a long interview with Arrow, and then I got some, recollections, notes about Minhas' own recollection. Okay, so these are the kind of sources. So you can see these sources are pretty authentic. Okay, so that's what I'm going to talk about. How Minhas got the idea of CES. And you will see it is a very unlikely source. He didn't get the idea from Econometrica or American Economic Review or from any mathematics journal. That's what I want to emphasize. When you are looking for ideas, the ideas can come from anywhere, can come at any time. Okay? No, you might get your ideas while sleeping. You never know this. Okay, so have a good sleep. You will see. It might come in your dream. Okay, so the ideas is not something you just stumble into it. It can come. If you're looking, but that means only you have to look for it. You have to keep looking for it everywhere. Okay, okay. Okay, so this is what I'm going to talk about, and I have too many slides. So what I'll do, I'll skip many of them. Okay. Oh, this is the Arrow. Can you see Arrow? Yeah. So Arrow, this is the picture Arrow in his office. So this is the office of a Nobel laureate looks like. Okay. Very well organized. I think he was very well organized. We are talking something, then suddenly he wanted to show me a paper, his unpublished paper. And what he did, he put his hand underneath the whole piles and pulled out the paper in 1 minute. Okay, and he knew exactly what is where in his whole office. Okay, so this is Kenneth Arrow. Okay, and it was a long time, more than 10 years back, I was corresponding with him. So Arrow told me, look, I am not feeling good nowadays, and I go to the office very, rarely, and so maybe we'll meet only for a few minutes, then I said, no, don't worry, we can cancel the minute. We can talk in the phone. You don't have to come all the way, to meet with me. We can talk in the phone. But then, I wrote a very nice, kind of saying that, no, your health is not good. So, but then that's the reply he sent me. He felt sorry for my anxiety. Just imagine. Imagine the humility of a Nobel laureate. Not Nobel laureate, he's far more than Nobel laureate. He produced another few dozen Nobel laureate himself. Okay, and including the major work, our own Nobel laureate, Professor Amartya Sen. Okay, Amartya Sen's first work was also, in social choice, and that was also the first work of Kenneth Arrow on social choice. Okay, and this meeting was supposed to be then half an hour. So we met at 2 o'clock. He said, no, he wants to go back home by 3 o'clock. I said, sure, half an hour is more than enough. But by the time we finished talking, it was 5 o'clock. Okay, so you can imagine, what a great person he is, Okay. Okay, so let me kind of skip all those, I have a lot of materials, but okay, oh, no, I cannot skip. Okay, when did the whole thing started? The whole thing started in 1955, the year I was born. This Bagicha Singh Minhas, and he's known as, B.S. Minhas. Again, you can see the name, Bagicha. See, this name is not exactly an Indian name. Only the Singh part is Indian. But Bagicha, it's a Persian word, means garden. Bagicha. You might have heard this word many times in Kazi Nazrul poems, Bagicha. Minas is also a Persian word. Okay, and so he came to our UIUC to do a PhD, and this PhD was in agricultural economics. Okay, and because what happened that time, India, after the independence, they started following the Russian central planning system. So the CIA got into action. CIA said, no, that's no good. India is getting into the orbit of Russia or Soviet Union. So they want to counter that. What they did, they started giving huge amount of money to get the young Indian scholar come to the United States to get PhD, or in simple language, to brainwash them. Okay, I mean, it was a good program, but I think it had a different idea too. Okay, and so the lot of scholars came with that kind of scholarship given by India. And if you remember, those are old enough, you will remember the program is called PL 480. That was also the program. US was very generous in some sense, to help India. Okay. Now, Bagicha Minhas, he didn't do any much economics in India. He did all kinds of called agronomy, basics of soil, plant, and animal sciences. Okay. Now he came to not our economics department. He came to agricultural economics department. But what is agriculture? See, again, economics, if you think, is the mother of many economic sciences, like field like agricultural economics. It was a breakaway group from economics. Exactly, if you look at the Department of Finance, it is also the same. It's a breakaway group from economics. When they're growing more and they're trying to make a lot more money, then they break away from the economics. Okay, so the economics is the original subject used to be taught by in most of the university, because economics is a very old subject. If you go to Kautilya, we have the Arthaniti. Okay, and so economics is a very old subject. Okay, and then the rest came later, and then they make more money. From economics came other three things like finance, accounting, and business administration. They make a lot more money than economics. And the same way, statisticians make more money than mathematicians, and econometricians make more money than a statistician. Okay, so that's what I was trying to tell you. In a way, I made a good decision long back, for doing econometrics. Okay, and of course, you know the reason, that I was not good enough for mathematics, physics, and statistics. And let me tell you a story in this context, again connecting all the subjects. In Delhi ISI, there was a professor called KRP, KR Parthasarathi. Some of you know. He's a very famous. He's still alive. He's 90 something. He's still alive, KRP. And so one day he came to teach a class in Delhi ISI. Then the class was full, and he didn't like that. The class was full, and it was a class of major theory. And he said, no, the class is full. I don't like it. And then people are wondering, why he's so mad. The class is full. Then he said, look, mathematics is only for Brahmins. And he's a Southern Brahmin. But I'm sure he didn't mean exactly Brahmin. He meant intellectually able people. So he said, no, mathematics is only for Brahmins. And from the next class onwards, I don't want to see so many people in my class. Okay. Then he felt a little bad. He said, no, but don't worry. If you cannot do mathematics, then you can do statistics. Then he said, okay, even some people cannot do statistics, and then they can do economics. And even some people are not good enough to do economics, and then they can go to politics. And he again added, at ISI, there is a scope of everything, doing mathematics, statistics, economics, or you can spend your whole time in just doing politics, office politics, corridor politics. Of course, I have seen a lot of people doing that too. Okay, so he was very realistic, Professor KRP. Okay, so if he hears this story, I know he can vouch for it. Okay, this is a true story. Okay, anyway, so you can again see the connection between different subjects, the hierarchy of different subjects, the intellectual level. Okay. So he came to do agriculture in Illinois. But why come all the way from India to do agriculture? Okay. And again, I have to go to my another guru. This is my, not another guru, this is my main guru. Okay. As you can see, I carry him wherever I go. Can you see my t-shirt? Okay. So this is, I carry this guru all the time with me. And even I have his poem written in my t-shirt. Okay. So that is my, main guru. Okay. And Tagore came to our university 3 times. Okay. And it was a kind of that kind of relationship. No, dibe ar nibe milabe milibe.
class party hai
Hello. Okay. Yeah. So he came 3 times.
university hai
Yeah. So he came 3 times to University of Illinois. Okay. And he gave a lot to University of Illinois, and I can also say he learned a lot of things from University of Illinois. He kind of explicitly said that in many of his writings, how he, enriched himself for a long time, spending at University of Illinois. Okay. Now the story is this: when people wanted to know what did he think about, our little, provincial town, Urbana-Champaign, because it's a town nowhere, nothing is here, only cornfields. I'll get to the cornfield again. It is all corn and so on field all over. It's a completely, it almost like a village. Okay. So everybody said, what do you think about our, Urbana-Champaign? And so this is that Tagore jokingly said that, there is, let there be more culture. Even agriculture suffers a bit because it is too much agriculture here, not much other culture. So it is a place for agriculture. Not agriculture is our, that I have seen in my village. It is a agriculture as a science. Okay. Doing the same thing, producing corn, rice, soybean in a scientific way. And that was the main thing. And even Tagore himself sent his own son, Rathindranath Tagore, to come to University of Illinois to study dairy farming, Gopalon. Just imagine how far ahead our this man Tagore was, sending his own son not to become a lawyer or ICS, but to learn the Gopalon Vidya, so that he can go back to his place in Santiniketan or Bolpur to teach the villagers there scientific way of dairy farming. Okay, anyway, so you understand the agriculture is main thing. In fact, our University of Illinois was named as Agriculture and Industrial University, where at the beginning it started in 1867. Okay. Okay, so this is the education Minas had. He had BSc in agriculture, then he switched to kind of economics for MA degree, so that he did more like an agricultural economics. Then he was a lecturer in Hoshiarpur for 1 year. Then in 1955, he came to Illinois. And this is the place, our Department of Agricultural Economics. This is called Mumford Hall. Okay. That's why he was, located, as a graduate student. And then, but even now, because agricultural economics, they didn't have their own high-level courses. They used to take courses, even now, that time too, take all the graduate level courses from the economics department, like micro, macro, and econometrics. And they have to pass these courses. Okay, just pass. So for economics PhD student, they have to get good grades, like A, but minimum B plus. Okay, economic student. But for the agricultural economic student, if they can manage to get B minus or C plus, it's okay. Okay, so you can see the hierarchy. Okay, so, but the Minas didn't have any mathematics background. So he had a hard time in a particular, this called micro theory class, which was taught by almost a mathematician, Hans Brems. He was a student of Leontief from Harvard. Okay, and Hans Brehm was also my colleague because I joined the University of Illinois in 1983. So for 17 years we were colleagues, and he, his office was just few doors down. So I used to see him almost every day, the Hans Brems. Okay, so let me not talk about Hans Brehm, but he was more mathematics oriented. So this is Hans Brems. Okay, so let me not go in detail. Okay, he was a nice man, to summarize. So as I said, without any math and of course no stat background, the Econ PhD courses were really tough for Minas. It just overwhelmed him. But he learned something from Hans Brem's class called production function. No, because there are two main functions in economics. Because what we do really in a whole life, we produce and consume. So there is a production function, there is a consumption function. Okay, and so that was, he found it interesting, the topic. And that time the main production function was called Cobb-Douglas production function. Okay, I think all of you know this function, so I won't go into detail. Cobb-Douglas, it is done by two people. One is Cobb, a mathematician, and Douglas is an economist. Again, you see the combination of economist and mathematician coming together and getting this called production function called Cobb-Douglas production function. Okay, let me not worry about this, what should I say, details of the literature review. But when you do your research, you need to do this when you write a paper. Okay, so the Douglas. See, again, Douglas is something, is very also close to UIUC. He was a professor at UIUC. Then he moved to University of Chicago, which has a much, much higher rank. Not only that, he was also become a senator. So this is very common, not very common, but it happens very often in United States. A great academician, sometimes they go into politics. Not that they're not good at academics, because he was a professor at University of Chicago, and he has something named after him, Cobb-Douglas production function. But then he became interested in politics, and he became a great politician. Not only that, he was a senator from our state, Illinois, and also he ran for president in 1968 as a Democratic Party candidate, but he lost, in the primary. And of course, as you know, the whole Democratic Party lost, and that loss was a tremendous loss for United States. Then Richard Nixon became the president, and you know the story, what happened to him. Anyway, so this was Douglas. And again, how it is all connected. Douglas' second wife, Emily Taft, is the daughter of a very famous American sculptor called Loredo Taft. And my department is on a road, is called Taft Drive. I don't know who planned all these things, but every time I come to my department, I drive through the Taft Drive, then immediately I remember Emily. Then I remember, as soon as I remember Emily, I remember Douglas. Then I remember Douglas, I remember Cobb-Douglas. And then as soon as I remember Cobb-Douglas, I remember the CS production function. I remember, Professor Minas. And again, Minas, I must tell you, when I was at ISI Delhi, he was a professor there too. But we didn't see him much. It was, those dark days of 1975, if you remember those days. I was a student that time at ISI Delhi. And so he will be sitting alone in an office, and then we'll be talking about Minas, that nobody can touch him. I used to wonder what they mean by, nobody can touch him. These are the time in 1975. So I spent, in ISI Delhi until 1979. And because these were the emergency time, everybody was arrested for opposing Mrs. Gandhi except Minas. because Mrs. Gandhi respected Meena so much. He was a highly respected, not only the economist, almost like a statesman, and he was also the member of the planning commission. But then he resigned in protest against Mrs. Gandhi. Okay. So what happened with this Cobb Douglas? Cobb was a poor mathematics teacher, and Douglas was, a very famous guy. Okay. And Charles Cobb was a lecturer in mathematics in a college called Amherst College. Okay, let me tell you this, how research can go. It is not the two, scientists getting together. No, research is not always not like that. The Cobb-Douglas production function came not because Cobb and Douglas came together. No, it was because their wives came together. No, their wives are friends. So they're having a chat one day, having coffee. Then suddenly Douglas' wife said, look, Mrs. Cobb, my husband is going crazy. Why is he getting crazy? Have you seen the doctor? But no, not that kind of craziness. He's sitting down in front of piece of paper with lots of dots in it, and he tried to fit a line along those dots. And he cannot draw lines, all those dots. And what he's doing, he's trying to draw some lines or something he's doing. Then Mrs. Cobb said, no, my husband does that. I have seen drawing lines all the time. This line, that line, circular lines, and maybe my husband can help your husband, drawing lines. So then the wife decided, to get these two men together. But Douglas was high up, he is a professor in a big, University of Chicago, and here is a poor math teacher. He refused to join Cobb. But then, with the insistence of the wives, they said, no, why don't you just go for a cup of coffee? But then Douglas came with all his charts. The charts were like this, he was trying to plot production and output and input. He had this composite input and output, and he was trying to draw a straight line in output and input. He had all those data for all kinds of manufacturing firms of USA, and he said, no, look, I cannot draw a straight line, then too many points are, far away. I'm just, I have output O on my vertical axis, input in my horizontal axis, and look at all those, points. Then, it took Cobb only few minutes. He said, no, Professor Douglas, you made a mistake, don't, draw a line through just output, input. Can you do one thing? Just take the log of both. Take the log of output and take the log of input. Then you have to rescale the data. You have to rescale. And Douglas never heard of something called rescaling the data. But anyway, he got his assistant to do this. And then he got a perfect line that, log of the output is related to linearly to log of the input. And that is as we know, the Cobb-Douglas production function. But again, then they generalize it to two input, capital and labor. Okay? And again, that has an implication also economics wise. I'll come to that. Anyway, let us forget about Cobb-Douglas. Okay, let me forget about this. Okay, so if you look at Cobb-Douglas production function, it looks like this. Can you see this? And if you take the log, it becomes a linear. Okay, and that's the Cobb-Douglas production function. Okay, and Hans Brems taught Cobb-Douglas production function, and he was, said this is the best thing you can do. That it is, very attractive and so on. And it stood the time of testing. Okay. And it was good fit for most of the production data. Okay. Certain data they had, Cobb-Douglas was a fantastic fit. Okay. But now Minas was in our small town, Urbana-Champaign. He noticed two things, very unlikely source of research ideas. One was the campus barber shop, and one was this called, corn and soybean farm of his host family. Host family means, when a foreign student come to this place, it's a place completely isolated, they get lonely. Then they get attached to a host family, means local farmer. They will invite once in a while to have American food, and will show them, their huge farm. And you won't believe the land holding of people here, it will be not 1 acre, 2 acre, 3 acre, it will be hundreds of acre. Okay, so this is so different. When I came here, I say, where is the aisle? Aisle means, those little partitions of the land. There is no aisle here. Okay, all, kind of, in Bengali, I can just call, bistirina shosho khet, miles after mile. Okay, and the owner will be like, owning thousands of acres of land, each owner. And they're farmers. They're, in a way, rich farmer. Highly subsidized. Okay, and they have the freedom to sell their own goods whoever they can. Okay, so that's how it works, So I am not surprised why the Indian farmers are protesting. Okay, anyway, so I don't want to go to politics. Okay, so this is the barber shop. So what he saw in India, the barber shop, and I have a nice way to describe Indian barber shop. I also grew up exactly in that kind of barber shop. I say there are two styles of cutting the hair. In Minas village, also my village. One is called Italian style, one is the Romanian style. Okay, can you see? This is the Romanian style. Everything done in a room. You sit in a chair. This is the Romanian style of hair cutting. And this is the Italian style. You sit on it, brick. Okay, and the cost difference huge. When I was in India, my father used to force me to cut, so, and you can imagine his cut was so bad. I used to call it a kodam chat. So one or twice I, when I could not afford this Romanian style, so, but I did this cut quite a few times, same cutting, but price is, this will be like, 10 paisa, and this will be 1 rupee in my time. Okay, so this is the hair cutting the Minas was familiar with. See, it's a technology, it's a production function, it's a service production function, and how much care they take in India for hair cutting. Now they will cut your hair, then they will shave your beard, then they will massage your head, all kinds of things. They will take at least half an hour, okay, in India for hair cutting. Okay, but if you look at hair cutting in University of Illinois campus, it will be like this style. No scissors, they have a clipper, and it takes 5 minutes, but same hair cutting. Okay, and when I went to last time to India, because I never had Italian style, I never had Romanian style of hair cutting, so I went deliberately to cut hair in Romanian style. So this is the picture I took last time I was in India, see? So this is my, I can afford now to have, Romanian style of hair cutting. Okay. So this is one, hair cutting. Okay, I'll come to this, What was this? In India, this was the cost, maybe, I think this is the current cost. The Italian style, the Romanian style, and it's a very good service. Okay, very caring service. But if you go to the UIUC in our town, it will cost you minimum $20. And 5 minutes is the average. Maximum they will, you have a lot of hair, they will, meet 15 times. And for my hair, they will, you can see, I used to pay also $20 for my hair cutting, and I never got a discount. Okay, so now I have decided to do all by myself at home. You can see why. So I'm saving a lot of money by not by doing a haircutting, doing everything at my home. You can see that, completely clean shave. Okay. Okay, so that's the one thing. Okay, so you can see the difference. Okay, and I'll come to the difference. Now, in terms of farming, this is the Indian farming that Nina saw. And you won't believe, in my village, this is still not that common, but we still use this method of plowing. Okay, it is that what is the production? The plowing. So here you have, like here the capital may be the 2 bullocks, and here is the labor. Okay, and in the United States, there are hardly any labor. It's all capital, because one person can, plow with the big machine that, you need, maybe 200, bullock and one, farmer doing that. Okay, same production function, same output, plowing the land. Okay, now he started asking this question. He learned that Cobb-Douglas production function is the only production function. Okay, then he said, no, look, in his Punjab, they had 18 acres of land, 3 labor units, his uncle, his father, granduncle, and 2 pairs of oxen. And what they will produce, it will not be even enough for the whole family. No, 3 labor units and 2 pairs of oxen. But in the Illinois, his host family had 450 acres of land for only 2 things, corn and soybean, and only 2 labor units. Again, what is another labor unit? His wife and a big machine. And that time, in 1955, you won't believe, the price of corn and soybean were exactly the same. Not only that, if you look at the exchange rate, dollar and rupees, more or less same. In 1955, dollar and now rupees values was more or less same. Okay, but look at the production function. Look at this, substitution between capital and labor. In India, lots of labor, little bit of capital. But in United States, it is mostly the capital, little bit of labor. But they're producing the same thing and output at the same price. So he asked the question, how can be then the 2 production function in India and US cannot be the same? That means if it is, Cobb-Douglas in United States, it cannot be Cobb-Douglas in India. So that is the idea, or the kind of what should I call, dilemma he had. Okay, because he was looking for a thesis topic. So that is the one observation he had in the cornfield. And then second one also, he had the barber. In the barber, in Illinois, they just need a kind of a pair of hand. That's it. Okay, and a little clipper. But in India, they had a scissor, they had a for beard, they had a khoor, or and so he tried to connect whatever is observing outside the classroom in the Hans Brem's Cobb-Douglas production function. Okay, so now, but again, when you are a graduate student in any American university, what you do, you have to do the coursework. Somehow he managed to pass the coursework. Okay, then he started reading something about the production function from the textbook. Okay, and then he found out most of the textbook they talk about only Cobb-Douglas production function, and they found the empirical studies say Cobb-Douglas is good enough. Okay, then he read some books. Okay, and then he came to this concept called elasticity of substitution between capital and labor. And for Cobb-Douglas production function, by construction, that elasticity is exactly equal to 1. So there is no way you can test, because when you estimate Cobb-Douglas, you are estimating, assuming that sigma is equal to 1. Okay. So the Cobb-Douglas production function didn't lend itself for a kind of, questioning the validity of Cobb-Douglas production function. Okay. So now he's looking for a thesis topic. So he thought the following, that the changes in the capital labor ratio in response to the wage capital rental ratio cannot be same in hair cutting or in farming in Illinois and in Punjab. Okay, so there must be some other kind of production function active, beyond Cobb-Douglas. But he has no mathematics. He does not know, so he could not tackle the problem. Okay, because Cobb-Douglas has a mathematical function. Okay, but he didn't know how to go beyond Cobb-Douglas mathematically. But he could do something else. Okay, so this is the kind of, this is his own writing. When he observed this, suddenly he thought, he got the porous pathor. He got an idea of a research, thesis topic. That, that we are taking Cobb-Douglas for granted, but it may not hold the appropriate testing with the data. See, that's why I said econometrics. That is where econometrics comes. That, you test your economic theory or economic model with the use of the data. So he got the broad idea that he had to do some testing of the Cobb-Douglas production function using the data. So again, what happened? He passed the written and oral tests. He was accepted in the PhD program, not as a bright student. They said, oh, okay, you are okay. You can do, you can stay here another 2 years to finish your thesis, because he had his own money from the US government. Okay, so he was not dependent on UIUC on money. But so UIUC has no obligation. Okay, this guy is free, let him stay and finish a PhD. But he was never regarded as a good student, not good enough even. So if you look at the UIUC record, his name is not there at all. I tried to find his name in the UIUC record, because UIUC is fantastic. Everybody who has got a degree in UIUC from 1867, everything is recorded. Even I have found out all the records of Rothindranath Thakur when he was a student. He did, this called BS in called agricultural science, specializing in dairy farming. And as a father, I saw his record. It says, Father Rabindranath Thakur. Okay, so Thakur, not Tagore. Rabindranath Thakur. And what was the profession of employment of Rabindranath Thakur? Guess, a landlord. That's the way, Rabindranath Thakur is recorded in UIUC record books. The landlord, not a poet. Okay, but he came in 1907, 06. So he didn't get the Nobel Prize, Rabindranath Thakur, but he was a landlord. Anyway, so there is no record of Minhas in the UIUC system. Anyway, so he was really unhappy. Nobody appreciated his thesis topic. He was excited, but nobody was excited, because everybody thought, this guy has nothing, no knowledge of statistics and mathematics, and he wants to do economics, let alone in the production function. So what he did, he was so frustrated in Illinois. He took the Greyhound bus and all the way he went to Stanford. Why Stanford? Because Stanford had a new center. It's called Stanford Project in Quantitative Research in Economic Development. And who was in charge of that? Is Hollis Bichenari. And Hollis Bichenari, by that time, he was also the chief economist of the World Bank. Okay, Hollis Bichenari. Okay, and also Arrow was part of this, selecting students from India. Okay, so Arrow was some way selected. Arrow selected Minhas as a graduate student. Okay, so he was little bit in touch with the no Arrow too, but not much because Arrow was that time in MIT. Okay, but he knew that in Stanford they are doing real economics, not agricultural economics, proper economics, and this center already made a big name because of Holy Speech Chanari, and then they had a fantastic econometrician. It's called Arthur Goldberger. Okay, and he was the top econometrician that time in the United States. Okay, so he took a Greyhound bus and vanished, and Illinois didn't bother at all. No, okay, they thought if you say in Bengali, the apod ghuche gache, we don't have to take care of him anymore. Okay. Okay, then he had some bad luck, road accident. So now it is after 3 years. He came to Illinois in 1955. Now it is summer of 1958. So what he did, he collect some data. Okay, he collect some data of 24 industries and 19 countries. And again, he got a lot of help from, I said, the econometrician Goldberger, because that time you didn't have computer package. So he needed help to run these, simple regressions. Okay, so this is the regression he ran. Okay, so this is like L is labor, B is the value added. So this is like kind of value added per unit of labor. Okay, and W is the money wage rate. Okay, okay. Okay, so this is the dollar per man year or man hour. Okay, so this is basically the labor cost divided by L. Okay, now what happened? This is one implication of the Cobb-Douglas production function, that your Cobb-Douglas, see, this beta is nothing but your elasticity of substitution. Okay, so the beta is the elasticity of substitution. Okay, okay, because in this money wage rate, the cost of the capital is also taken into account. So this is more like relative wage rate. Okay, so the beta will be 1 if Cobb-Douglas is the right production function. Okay, and so he ran this simple regression and he tried to find out, let us see what the result is. Okay, because he had to now present a paper in the for the graduate student seminar at Stanford. And so he was talking more like as if now testing the Cobb-Douglas production function by testing the hypothesis that beta is equal to 1. Okay. Now look at, so he had, I said, he had got the data from like, 24 industries and now some 19 countries. And if you look at, this is the result he got of the estimate of beta. Can you see the estimate? I don't know, you can see this. I don't know how to make it big, but you can see that these numbers are always much less than 1. And some 1 is greater than 1. And then you reject the hypothesis beta is equal to 1. So you can see the t statistics. So one statistic is like, minus 3.8, minus 3.3, minus 3.7. Because far above 2. So you reject the null that beta is equal to 1. That means the elasticity of substitution is not 1. That means Cobb-Douglas does not fit this data. Okay. So then when he did it for different countries, then he got the estimate of beta, as you can see, much less than 1, 0.752. Okay, and again, this is the aggregate, 43 countries. And these 43 countries, you can see it's a fantastic, and you can look at the, I don't know whether you can read it because they're very small. What this country says, here I have the call, the value added for labor, V by L. And China was at the bottom. China was the bottom. Is like a $404 per year labor. $404, and compared to that, United States was $7,400. Okay. Okay. I mean, if you anytime you get a chance, you can look at this data and see something, Okay. So he's presented this result in the Stanford seminar, all those empirical results. But people say, oh yeah, we see the regression result, and so what? What does it say? It says, okay, Cobb-Douglas is not good enough, and so what? But nobody, gave him much encouragement. Then Kenneth Arrow arrived, from MIT to Stanford in January 1959. Then he saw Minha's discussion paper, and he thought, that the results are extremely interesting. So this is the first time in his life someone like Arrow telling him that his results are not only interesting, extremely interesting. Okay. And so now Minas knew Cobb-Douglas is no good, but he could not go beyond that. Now what Arrow said, he formulated this problem. Okay, you said that, the results says Cobb-Douglas hypothesis is not right. But what we have to do, we have to suggest an alternative hypothesis, means another general function which might generate this empirical result. See, this is the what Minhas was missing all the time, because he cannot think beyond Cobb-Douglas, because he was not a mathematician, or he was not mathematically inclined to think. Okay, so that's where the mathematics come into the picture. So if he knew mathematics, he could have done himself. Then the CS production function, we have only one author, but he lacked the mathematics. So see how mathematics is important. It is not good enough say this formulation is wrong. You have to come up with alternative. Okay. Okay. And again, there is a Solo. When Arrow talked to Solo, Solo said, no, I know this happened. See, the sigma is not 1. And Solo come up with a theory which is completely wrong theory, that sigma is equal to 2. Okay, but anyway, don't worry about that. I'm telling you about why there are 4 authors. Because Solo thought about sigma can be different from 1. And he was colleague of Arrow. Okay, and of course, both of them got Nobel Prize. And Chenery, who was the in charge of this Stanford Center, and he provided the data to Minhas. So that's why you see 4 people's name in that paper. Okay. Okay. Now, what did Arrow do? Arrow said, look, you have run the right regression here. So you start with the regression, because this is the regression line Minhas ran. Labor productivity on the wedge, and beta, don't put a 1, leave beta as it is. Then he said, you start from here. You start from here and try to express V in terms of the input. How can you do that? So let me go through this. This is a mathematics that I'm sure those who in mathematics department, you teach in the 2nd year math, in the differential equation. In my time, it was 2nd year math, but I think now it is being taught also high school possibly. Solving simple differential equation. So in place of V by L, you put Y. In place of K by L, capital labor ratio, put X. So we have Y as a function of X. Okay, this is like my Y. Okay, function of X. Okay, so that my the marginal product of capital will be A prime X, and marginal product of labor will be, this is a total production, and this is the total capital cost. So this will be the marginal product of labor. Okay, so the W, this W, it must be equal to the marginal product of labor is this. Again, Fx is equal to, as you can see, Y, X. Again, F prime X is dy dx. Okay, so now let us write it down as, now let us write this equation log Y, V by L is Y, log Y, log alpha, beta, and w, and we say w is equal to y minus x dy dx. So you convert Minha's equation. So what Arrow did, he converted Minha's regression equation into a simple differential equation. Okay. Now, once you have this differential equation, I mean, no, any undergraduate, from Dinabandhu Andrews College can do this. From here, you do the solution, you get to this solution. Then put back whatever you had. In place of y, you put v by l, and in put of x, you put k by l. Then you come to this. And this is the one we know is the, or let us write down this way, is the CS production function. And you can see how non-linear this is. You cannot make it linear by taking log or anything. It is one of the most complex non-linear, even in mathematics. Even in mathematics, it is a very complex non-linear function. And now the, what you call, the implied elasticity substitution is not 1. It is this 1 by 1 plus rho. Okay. And when rho is equal to 0, it becomes 1. But again, I cannot put rho is equal to 0 here because of this kind of non-linearity. So this is the CS production function. So now let's see how it came through. Minha's original idea, his empirical result, but this was the giant step. And Arrow did it because Arrow was a mathematician by training. Okay. Okay. And then, they presented this paper in a conference at the end of December. And then, this is the abstract. Because again, what is econometrics? You can see, you start with a hypothesis. Then you have data. Then you see whether data can be explained by this, standard theory, Doppler theory. And then you look at that, that this theory cannot explain the data. Then now you think about mathematics along with your empirical evidence. Okay. Then from there, you have, a new hypothesis, the new model. And again, you go back to the empirical test. Okay. So this, theory and empirics, theory and the data, and that makes a new theory. Okay. And so let me kind of, okay. So then Minus came to ISI, but this ISI, he almost didn't get the job at ISI because in ISI, they look at the thesis. They said, my goodness, it has only 1 page mathematics in it. And ISI was very mathematical from the beginning. So the people who was in his, board, I know that some of them, they passed away. They told me they failed him. They said, no, this guy is no good for ISI. No, he should not get a job at ISI. But who intervened? Our PCM, Prashant Chandra Mahanavis. He knew, he had this knack of finding who is good, who is not so good. He found out this man is not a mathematician, but he has a deep economics understanding. So that's why he was hired at ISI. That was in 1962. Soon after he finished his PhD. Then, of course, he became professor, and so I saw him when I was, at ISI Delhi. Okay, and then he became the Fellow of the Econometric Society and the member of the Planning Commission and so on. Okay, so he had a great life. Okay, now I want to say you something different. May I can go another few minutes? I know I'm taking too much time.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Definitely, sir. Definitely.
Oh, definitely. Oh, my goodness. But don't say too much definitely. Then, you will be here whole night. No. Okay. Now, come back to mathematics. Again, sometimes I say that nothing under the sun is new. Nothing is new. You discover something, there is almost, I can give you a guarantee, somebody else has thought about it in a different way. There is a little book Those who are mathematicians, you know this book. You know, the same Hardy, you know, the same Hardy who got Ramanujam from India to Cambridge, and their colleagues, you know, Hardy, Little Pola, you know, their colleagues at Cambridge. They wrote a little tiny book. It's called Inequalities, 1934. And it is a pure math book. It's a collection of results, collection of all kinds of inequalities, like, you know, geometric mean, arithmetic mean, harmonic mean, what are the inequalities? It is all kinds of inequalities. So they talk about the mean. And, you know, so this is the arithmetic mean we know. No, suppose I have a n quantities, A1, A2, An. So this is my mean of A. Okay, we know that. But then, how do little people know why we have to do mean this way? Why not do mean this way? No, you raised it to the power r and then do 1 by a by r. So this was their kind of, you know, generalized mean. Okay. Then again, you know, instead of a, I can take a weighted generalized mean. No, instead of a, I weight each a by pi, so that sum of pi is equal to 1. Okay. Okay. If sum of pi is equal to 1, then this will be my generalized weighted mean. Now, how does it look like? Can you see how does it look like? This is I is equal to 1 to n. Look at this. I is equal to 1 to n. Pi ai to the power r 1 minus r. Okay. If you look at this, put n is equal to 2. Let me see whether I have this. Yeah, put n is equal to 2. You get this. Now you compare this with the CS production function. Can you see? Forget about gamma. Gamma is not a big deal. Can you see? It is the same form. They have the same form. Okay. So in Hardy's book, the Cobb-Douglas production function is there, not with 2 input, because, you know, CS production function 2 input, capital and labor. But if I look at this equation, this is like a production function with as many as n inputs. Okay. So the CS production function was there in its full generality in Hardy's book. Not only that, Hardy's book, if we do little bit, you know, and again, this is what I'm talking about, you know, this rho is a parameter. When rho is equal to 0, then sigma is equal to 1. Okay. So if you take a limit of this, rho tends to 0, then only will become a Cobb-Douglas production function. You have to take the limit. Okay. So Hardy's book has the CS production function in full generality. Not only that, they discussed all the properties of this, you know, generalized mean. All the, so that from there you can derive all the properties of the CS production function. All the properties. Okay. So in some sense, we come in a full circle. Okay. That CS production function, if anybody looked into Hardy's book, it was there. But of course, no, now we know. Now I can say that because everything is in front of me. Okay. But, you know, to do these connections, you know, someone who, an economist knowing mathematics, who was familiar with the Hardy's book, they could have come up with the CS production function in 1930s. Okay, but that didn't happen, no, because everything has its own time. Okay, so first we needed a linear production function like Cobb-Douglas. Then it took another 30 years from Cobb-Douglas, which is linear, to come to a non-linear function. Okay, and this, it is a production function I'm saying, but no, it is not just a production function. In economics, if you go to any field of economics, micro, macro, international trade, everywhere they use the same form of the function, you know, like a utility function. Also we have, you know, in CS form. Okay, so this CS function, you can see, is like embedded in all area of economics, but nowadays it is also used, you know, in other fields too. Okay. Okay. Okay, maybe not, let me not talk about these things, okay. So let me just, finish here, so that, we took a long tour with mathematics, begin with the mother of all science. Then we talked about statistics, then we talked about, the data. Nowadays is think of the big data. Even Minas, he was the person, who was in charge of NSS. He was the kind of, who took over where Mohanlal is left in terms of NSS data. Okay, because he understood the data very well, and he understands the economy very well. Okay, but his drawback was mathematics. But again, I said, mathematics, it is not necessary. It is good to know, but that's why we need collaboration. We need collaboration among mathematician, statistician, economist, even historian. And what I'm talking about, it is essentially history. History, how people get data. How people get ideas of a research. It does not come from the latest journal. It can come from anywhere, but you have to keep on open your eyes and your ears open and your mouth shut. I always tell my students, God has given you 2 ears and 2 eyes. That means you utilize them as much as 2 eyes as your mouth. So I should shut up now myself. Thank you so much. Okay,
Thank
so
you,
I'm
sir.
done. I'm done. Oh, I took 1.5 hours. My goodness.
No problem, sir. Thank you, sir, for your lucid presentation and for making an extensive analysis. And your lecture was really illuminating and thought-provoking, sir.
Oh,
and I thank you for enlightening us with your enormous knowledge on the topic. And we got to know many things from your lecture, sir. And it is a pleasure to hear you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, moving on to the next part of our webinar. Now the floor is open for question and answer. So I request Dr. Shomen Shaw, Dr. Tridip Shorter, and Dr. Manik Das to moderate the question answer session. So over to the moderator.
Thank you, Dr. Sengupta. Thank you, Professor Bera, for your illuminating talk. We have received several questions from both of the chat boxes, Zoom as well as YouTube Live. Among them, we have selected few questions. Firstly, I'd like to mention how econometrics is related to financial economics. So once again, how econometrics is related to financial economics? This is the first question.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So let me go question by question. Okay. Now, so if you think, let us go to finance. Finance is again, it's a breakaway group. No, if you think about 100 years back, there was economics, but there was no field called finance. Finance again another breakaway group, and then now our finance department is bigger than the econ department, although it is it came from econ. Okay, now finance, what you deal with, it is essential economics, but it deals with the financial market. So one example will be the stock market or the corporate market. Okay, and there, what we deal with, when you talk about economics is a broad, I can talk about macroeconomics, I can talk about unemployment, I can talk about, consumption, production. But when it comes to finance, essentially we want to talk about the market, or more importantly, money. Okay, now let us think about how econometrics deals with, So one simple question we can ask, how the stock prices behave. It's a question that intrigued people for hundreds of years, because stock market is very old. If you think about the market in Amsterdam, it is 400 years old market. Okay, and people know the data. They had the data. I'm just going to give a very concrete example. the connection between econometrics and finance. And everybody knew how the stock market returns looked like. No, it was again no in the beginning, because I know this a little bit because I was working with non-normality testing, test for normality, and that is interesting when there is data which are not normal, and everybody knew the stock price data is not normal because it does not satisfy the properties of the normal distribution because there are too many outliers. Okay, too many outliers. Okay, and so, and also stock prices, again it's a time series data, and they found out the time series data stock prices are completely uncorrelated data. Uncorrelated. If you look at the stock price of tomorrow, yesterday and today, no, you won't have relationship. Now they had a way to explain this because of the say, okay, the market is efficient, so you cannot utilize the past information to make money. That's good. Okay, so they got that part right in terms of theory. No, the market is more or less efficient, not all the time. I would say no, Indian market is not very efficient because it is controlled by few people. No, just I can count in my hand, how many people. Okay, so okay. But in general, big markets like United States, there are thousands of stocks are traded, and I mean, few can control, but not that much. There is a law here. Okay, there is a law and order. In India, we have law, but no order. Okay, so people can get away. Okay, anyway, so okay, I'm just going to give a very concrete example. So people knew the data and they thought it is uncorrelated, but the prices were not independent. So this difference between uncorrelatedness and the dependence, it was not very clear to people. What do we mean by this? That means correlation is like a linear relationship. They are not linearly related, but the prices were non-linearly related. But now it comes non-linear. That means you cannot fit a linear model. You have to fit a non-linear model. But when it comes to non-linear model, as I said, the possibilities are enormous. Okay. And so they came up. So just imagine, people have been thinking for this for 100 years. Batchelor in 1900 wrote a paper, very famous paper. It's called Behavior of Stock Prices in 1900. Okay. But again, you want to come up with a simple relationship. If it's too complex, people will not use it. That's what I said. In economics, we build model. And what is a model? Model should be, what should be a model? Model should be beautiful, That's the criteria of a model. Okay. Or handsome. Okay. So I cannot be a model. As you can see, then nobody will hire me as a model. Okay. And one guy, his name is Robert Engel. He said, okay, let us look at the data YT. YT is not related to YT minus 1. No, linear. There's no relationship between YT and YT minus 1. But he came up with the simplest relationship. He said, but if you square them, you square YT and YT minus 1 square. You run a regression YT. YT is the price of stock, say, stock return price. You run a regression of YT square and YT minus 1 square. You will see they are perfectly correlated. Okay. So YT measures the return. And why YT square will be measured? It square the variance. That means the prices are not related, but the variance are related. That means you cannot forecast the return due to the market efficiency, but you can forecast the volatility of the market. Okay, and that's what we call the arch model. One line, YT square is equal to alpha plus beta YT minus 1 square plus epsilon t. This one line model. And for this one line model, what did he get? How much money he made? He got the Nobel Prize in economics, but that was essentially finance. Okay, and you know this model is called ARCH model, autoregressive conditional heteroscedasticity. Okay, so now you can see really that and if you see the best researcher in finance, who are the best researchers in finance? Economists. They finish PhD in finance, then they get the best job in the finance faculty. Exactly same way. Who are the best economic theorists? Those who have the best training in mathematics. Okay, and who are the best econometricians? Who has a good training in statistics, and also you have to understand economics. No, you cannot throw away economics. No, you have to understand economics. Okay, so economics is the binding thing, but then these are tools. Mathematics, econometrics, they are tools. It will glue them all these things together. Okay, so I hope I answered the question.
Thank you very much, sir. Our next question is, sir, can you please mention? Next question is, sir, can you please mention the areas on which we can work on labor economics?
Oh, labor economics. I see, labor economics, it's a huge area, but I can classify into, see, when we have the economics, okay, since I'm an econometrician, so I will talk more empirical. We have, empirically, there are two major fields. One we call macroeconometrics, another we call microeconometrics. Micro means, it deals with the micro data or individual data. So the labor economics is more like a microeconometrics, because you have individual data, and that has a lot of problems, and the problems keep on changing. And one time, the big problem in labor economics, again, it is empirical question. Is it beneficial for worker to join union or not to join union? Now, if you think in the United States, no, union is almost gone. But in European countries, it is there. So it is still relevant. But the union, you won't believe, it's all started in the United States, the union. The May Day that people celebrate, it essentially started in the United States. But then, no, the whole capitalism took over. Okay, so now there is hardly any union. I mean, there is, but no, not much. Okay, so that problem is not relevant anymore, union or not union, United States. Okay, but I think it is still important in a lot of other countries, particularly in European countries. Okay, and then another thing came up again in terms of empirical research. It is about labor force participating of the women. Even in the United States, it was not very common for women to participate in the labor force. It only changed during the Second World War. Okay, but it is not as common. But if you go to a country like China, Vietnam, you will see huge, portion of people in the labor force, and I think that's very important. If you are thinking of the economy, and you cannot leave out, 50% of the workers of the, so the female participation is very, very important. Okay, and I think it is now changing in India too. Okay, so that is the female labor force participation. Then come the wage. Even in the United States, you won't believe, the female for the same job, same qualification, they are paid much, much less. Okay, and that cannot go on. Okay, so this study of wage, and from there you also get wage. The inequality that we talk is also related. It is not only the part of the US. It is not just female. Even the worker, who come from the minority, African Americans or Hispanic, they are even paid less. What they deal with, it also lead to some extent the wage inequality. Then wage inequality leads to the income inequality, which is very severe in United States and of course, in India. Okay, these wages, there is huge inequality. Okay, and I mean, we can get such cheap labor in India. For someone, I come from a village. I have seen for someone they have to work the whole day. Even that one may not be even enough after working whole day to buy a rice for the full family. Okay, and that cannot go on, no, for any what should I call stable society. That this wage inequality, people should be paid proper wage, for the right amount of work. Okay, so these are the issues, I think is very important in the labor economics. And it is, if you think about empirical work, and this is the most active area in econometrics. And again, a lot of things are connected with this called human capital. When you talk about human capital, you talk about the education. Okay, and again, no, you can ask a simple question: is education is important? No, for your livelihood. That's a very important question. No, if more education gives you more, better lifestyle. It is not a simple question. And because when you see in India, rich people kids can live affluently without much education. Okay, so this education is, I think, effect of education on the livelihood of people, I think, also very important to study. And for a country like India, for the poor people, I think the only way to get out of their trap is through education. And I think I am a good example of that. I come from a village and which didn't have electricity, until recently. And I studied in a primary school. It was like a one-room school with 150 students and 2 teachers. And only, I think, the education can bring all the poor people. It is not that they have to get a job. Even education means they can think properly, so that people cannot exploit them. Okay, and so that's why the education is important, not only for job, so that they can understand their rights and they can understand what they can achieve, in their life. Okay, so these all comes under, labor economics. But this is one good thing about economics or statistics or mathematics. You can bring anything into the table. It's not like physics, not like nuclear physics, that it's very specific. But when I talk about economics, statistics, anything in life is part of research. Okay, I can start doing research, anybody call effect of COVID-19 on the economy, on people's life. And that's economic research. That could be statistics research. Okay, so thank you. I hope I answered the question.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir, we got it. Thank you for your explanation. Now I would like to request this question answer session to Dr. Tridip Sardar. Mr. Sardar,
thank you, Dr. Saw. Thank you, Dr. Saw.
Oh, you are mathematician. Tridip, you are the mathematician.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes.
Thank you, sir, for this informative lecture. Sir, our next question is, what are the emerging research questions in economics in current scenario with particular reference to India?
Oh my goodness, that is not my, I am a little bit away from India. Okay. But again, I see when we answer a question, we cannot go too far from what we are doing. Okay, so one question I'm telling a lot of my colleagues, both in India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh. I have a lot of students in many different places. So they keep on asking me, what will be a good topic to work. Nowadays I do, because again, I like to think about the data, what is important. Okay, and if you think about India, now see, I was looking at this, COVID. Let us go to COVID, very recent topic. Suddenly, if you look at, like last year, March, the Indian government, declared certain lockdown, complete lockdown, complete. But it was not necessary. What I say sometime, there is a COVID. Even now there is a COVID. Now, we tend to think, okay, if there is a COVID, it is everywhere. But if someone plot the COVID occurrence and what I call, cluster, it is not everywhere. it is only at certain pockets. So there was no need to shut down completely. There is absolutely no need. And I can tell you from my village area, there is only 1 or 2 cases who came from outside, but otherwise there is not a single case, not a single person died. Okay, so shutting down the whole country without much in forget about preparation, but that's what I call, everything is like a cluster, or sometimes I call, a spatial dependence. So all these concepts are very important. Again, you can call it, concentration. Look at our Indian income. It is concentrated only on the few hands. You can take, 20 family, they are holding 90% of the Indian wealth. And that's too much. And that's I call concentration. Okay. Or you go to an area called Bombay, and you can see this, slum, and next to it you have this high rising,
Yes, sir.
So this is again you can see the separation, and again I call this is also a concentration. I call it a spatial concentration. Okay, now say come to education. Where are all the education? Let's think of West Bengal. When someone passes the high school, they want to go to a best college. Where are the best colleges? Most of them in Calcutta. And nowadays, it's very recent phenomena. There we have some other good colleges because now we have regional universities. But still, I would say education is still highly concentrated. Good education. Now look at the healthcare. Healthcare, if somebody gets sick, they have to drive at least, 2 hours to go to a super, super facility or something. Okay. Again, it's highly concentrated. Okay. The good universities, IITs, till now, it is only in the major cities. Now, let me tell you this, the University of Illinois, I remember I was telling in the beginning, it is a world-class university, University of Illinois. It is in the middle of nowhere. It is the nearest city, Chicago, 120 miles. Okay. It is nowhere. It is in the rural area. And if you think of all the best public universities in the United States are in rural areas, rural cities, not in Washington, not in New York, not in San Francisco. They are in Urbana-Champaign, in Michigan, Ann Arbor, or one time in Texas, Austin. It was one time it was a very small city, and like in say Riverside or some California cities. So this we need in India, the effect of this concentration of everything, concentration of healthcare, education, wealth. It should be kind of as much decentralized so that people can access. Because we don't have a good road system. There is hardly any communication. I know in my village, you won't believe the road, the surface of the road, when I go home, it's like a moon surface. It's a moon surface. Okay, it's like even that we don't have any road. How can you expect take a patient to a DNS hospital? Okay, so that's the one thing. The other thing, I should not be saying this, the corruption. Somebody should study this effect of corruption. I mean, this is like, sometimes I say, this is in our DNA.
Yes, sir.
It is not going to go away soon. It has been, it is now part of the system. People ask for bribe openly. Okay, to get a job in the primary school, you have to pay 12 lakhs of rupees. It is in the system. And I heard that, recently when they had to return the cut money, and there was a form. The form said, sorry, I made a mistake, but now I'm returning your 5 lakh rupees. It made official. So, if the return of card money can be made official, it's a little bit, So this corruption, it is, I mean, like even in the central level, you can get away doing anything if you have money. When I teach, hypothesis testing, I said hypothesis testing is like, what you call court system. That your hypothesis is right, until it's proven wrong by the data. So like in the court system, you are not guilty until you are proven, beyond doubt. That is by law. But in India, you are guilty if you don't have money. Yeah. So I mean, this is so much, because I can see this when I was in India. I grew up with it. Okay. And if I were in India, maybe I will be taking bribe. I don't know. But it is in the system. But now I can see it from here that, this, corruption, it eats away your, maybe 20-30% of their production. So somebody should study the effect of corruption. Yeah, at the local level, just go to the panchayat level. Data may be very difficult to get, or you might get killed, you might have to give your life, if you start doing, but you have to be very careful.
Yes, sir.
But I think, because it is so much, we don't talk about it very much. No, I don't see much, discussion of corruption, even, in a very scientific way, everybody knows it is there. And they think it should be there, maybe. And people got used to it. And that's not a good sign. It's not just West Bengal, it is all over India.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe less so in the southern part of India, because I visit southern part of India, I interact with people, but I see there is a subtle, and what I call, the regional divide.
Yes.
You can see this regional divide between south and north. It is so prominent. And again, this is called the spatial divide. No, again, everything I think, is clustered. Good thing, bad things, everything is clustered, And so that's why for COVID, first they should draw a map of India. Just putting out red ink where there are more COVID. You will see all the COVID cases are concentrated only on certain big cities. But rest of the 80% of India, there is no COVID. So that means when you take a measure, you take account of the spatial concentration. You target those areas where you have, reason to isolate people, where you have reason to, kind of shut down. And again, before you shut down, you take a precaution. You don't let, thousands of or millions of workers stranded, in a place. So I think that happened in India. This COVID cases has been, so much affected. Again, it affected much more disproportionately the poorer section of the people.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, the poorer section of the people. And again, I will bring to this. Every country had its problem. Now I have been thinking about this. US has a big problem. In India, the poorer section is connected with the caste system. I say caste system is like a house without any stairs. You get stuck somewhere. Okay, if you get stuck in the bottom, there's no way you can go out. And US, it is the race system. And now US, they recognized it. You can see that. There's open discussion about this, racism, how it is affecting the country's law, order, even the economy. But in India, we still don't have this. You cannot talk openly about caste system. It is not there. In our constitution, it is banned. Okay, a lot of things are in the constitution, but how much we follow. So I think someone should study the effect of caste system. It is not there openly, but it is there. We know, all of us, we know. I come from a village. There are people, I mean, we used to call them, very bad term. They're Hindus. We call them Obsan. And sometimes we'll call them Nomo Shudro.
Yes.
Nomo means not this Nomo. Nomo has a different meaning. We know what is Nomo means, Okay. And so there are we get the good name, but it has a completely different meaning. Okay. So I think that is something people also should look at. What is the long-term effect? This is an old system. And we have to tackle this kind of system, And again, this caste system also leads to income and wealth inequality.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
and
Yes,
I think the sociologists are doing it, but sociologists, when they do things, I like they're doing, but everything should be backed up by quantitative analysis, which economists can do. No, you have to back up things by quantitative with the data. Otherwise, you can make up any story you like. And economists are very equipped with that. Okay, because I have taught, Presidency University, Jadavpur University, the Vidyasagar University, and there are fantastic, brilliant students, they are just looking for good research and also good guidance. And I think possibilities are a lot. So India, I think, has, a lot to catch up and kind of, attack the hard problem.
Yes,
Income inequality, caste system, corruption, wealth concentration, all those things. Okay, I talk too much. So.
I think, sir, regarding the COVID, you are telling that some of the policymakers in India during the COVID time argued on advocating the cluster-specific lockdown you are mentioning.
Right,
Yes,
exactly, right, exactly. But I didn't see that very much, No, see, look at, when they shut down, they said shut down, okay, everything is shut down. Like, what the Indian government did. Okay,
yes,
and when they want to open the schools, okay, let us open all the schools or no school. I mean, you do it, based on the data. Look at the data, what is happening right now, and who are the people coming, We look at those people. In my village, there is only 2 or 3 cases of COVID, only because some people, they work as a, what you call it, bricklayer or Rajmistri, in other states. So they came back, or those people work in the gold, making, they came back. And if you trace them, then there won't have been not a single case, in that whole village area. So I think, yeah, exactly, the cluster, this cluster is very important,
Yes, sir. And another thing, sir, you are mentioning the corruption problem. That corruption problem, I think, sir, in subcontinent, it is the major problem. That is why the economy is so lacking, I think.
Oh, okay. But you are right, subcontinent, but again, there is a spatial concentration. Just I said south, there is corruption, but much less. No, but that I can know just by staying few times there, I know. South, the corruption. But I'll give an example. Go to Sri Lanka. No. There is corruption, but the degree is nowhere like in India.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. If Sri Lanka can do it, why we cannot do it? No. Okay. Yeah. Or look at China. I mean, I won't compare China. China is a different kind of, society. But again, if you, I mean, you are not beyond law.
Yes,
you are not beyond law. I mean, that's the simple idea people have to get. Just because you have money, you cannot get away. You can get away. No. That is only in India. I can see to some extent in Bangladesh, maybe also in Pakistan. But Sri Lanka, very similar to our country, but they are much less corrupt.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Sir, thank you, sir, for this information, sir. Now I would like to request Dr. Manik Das to continue this question and answer session. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Tiji Sardar. The next question asked by one of our participants is, we've seen in the production function that wage number is related to labor number. So average wage cost of a country, is it somehow related to production function?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Maybe can I go to the share screen?
Yes, of course.
Let me make this one. Can you see it little better? Okay.
Sir, the slide is not visible, sir.
Oh, not at all visible. Oh. Yeah, so that's the, yeah. Oh, yeah, it is, so let me just quote the number here.
Yes.
This number, I have, different, countries, China, Japan, India, United States, everything. So here I am plotting called V by L. No, so
Yes,
the
sir.
V by L was the dependent variable in Minhas regression. Okay, so the V by L for China, is more like a labor productivity. It was $404. Okay, $404. And the wage is more like the yearly wage was $123 for China. Okay.
Yes,
Now, when
it's
you go to
related.
United States, just to show that, it is a different kind of production system, there V by L, the labor productivity was $7,400. It is another extreme case. And the wage was $4,319. It's like more like a yearly wage. Okay, so one was more like a labor intensive, like a China. This data is from 1955, and another was more like capital incentive country. And I'll give you the Indian figure. India was better than China. See, China labor productivity was $404, and Indian productivity was $469 in 1955. Okay, and the wage was, China's was $123. India's wage was $236. Okay, so as you can see, this data, is data kind of, and that time the exchange rate was very similar all over the world. But you can see the disparities of the labor productivity and the wage. And then when he ran this regression, that beta coefficient was quite different from country to country. Okay.
Yeah.
So
thank you, sir.
Yeah. So this is connected,
Yes, thank you, sir. It was very well explained, and all the things like labor right and other things, these all things are connected from this production function.
Right, exactly, right, exactly, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think once one can look at the data that, so this data is available online, that Minhas, original article, and then you can, okay, let me go back to my,
Okay.
I am missing, oh, what happened? Just what happened? I'm trying to get back to the screen. Just 1 second. I am not able to get back so that I cannot see your faces. Okay. Now I can see. I can see
Okay.
here. So can you see me?
Yes, of course.
Okay. I am back. I had a problem getting back,
So yeah, thank you very much, Professor Bera. We have another question.
Yes, sure.
That question is the last question for today.
Okay, sure.
The last question is, since nowadays collecting data is very easy than before, and so in this big data, how does this big data affect in getting research idea in near future?
Right. Okay. Yeah. Look, there is advantage or disadvantage having those easy access of data. Okay, because data is information. Okay, but we should be always asking this question, the reliability of the data.
Yeah, okay. Exactly.
And earlier days, I can tell you this, when I was a undergraduate students at Narendrapur, we had to do something called practical.
Yeah.
That means we have to use data. That means we have to kind of put each and every data into that little facet machine. So in some sense, we'll be touching each data point. And then when you're doing this, we can, in a way, our teacher used to say, you can scrutinize the data. You should scrutinize the data. Now with the big data, this facility is gone, scrutinizing the data. So what I might tell my student, before you analyze the data, maybe you should plot the data. No, you cannot look at each number, but you should see by plotting the data as much as possible. With time series, you can produce over time. Then you can see, if something is wrong with the data, because data must be reliable. Okay, and then you.
আমি তোকে কিছু কইনি ক্লাসটা করে দিলি না লোকে আমি হয়নি বলি
Sir, please unmute yourself. Sir, you are not audible.
Sorry. Oh, how long that had been? Okay. Now can you hear?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes,
Yes.
sir. We
Oh
can
my
now
God!
hear.
I don't know
Okay.
how I don't know how I muted myself. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
So
it happens. Yeah. Please continue, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So this data, you should have some idea, even what this data means. Otherwise, the data are just like numbers. Okay. So let me tell you a story. There is a story. It's a very famous author. It's an Argentinian author called Borges. I'm not pronouncing his name right away. It's called Borges. Borgsh. Borges. No, he didn't get Nobel Prize, but he should have gotten many Nobel Prizes. He has a story, a short story. It's called Pureness Memory. There was a guy. He had an accident, and because of his accident, he could remember anything.
Oh.
No, he could remember. No, he will come to the room, and immediately he will know everything what is in the room. How many, what is the color of the room, what is the color of the door, windows, and tables, how many clothes are there. And even he will remember things like, if you ask, what did you do last year, this day? And he can tell in great detail exactly what he did. Okay. And so he can look at a book, a dictionary, and he can just flick through the papers and he will memorize the whole dictionary. So he had that kind of memory. Okay. But he was not able to function in the society because only thing he had these numbers, but he didn't know how to summarize these numbers or how to draw conclusion about these numbers. Okay. So that's the one thing. Data by itself is useless. So you have to have, this idea of summarizing the data. Okay, I have this data. What can I do with this? What are the logic and conclusion I can, make out of it? And you have to have that capacity to do this. Otherwise, even though nowadays you have data, you have the software, you can run it. No, that is not good enough. You have to understand where the data is coming from. Okay. And earlier days, statistician used to say, you collect your own data. That's why this is called design of experiment. You design your experiment. Through that design, you collect your data. We don't do that anymore. So all the statistical procedure that you do, t-test, f-test, all these things, they are valid only for well-designed data. Okay. So sometimes you see a lot of statistical procedure are used. The data is not well designed. No, one is the very fashionable thing to do, RCT. What is RCT? I call it, it's a root canal therapy. Yeah. Very painful. Yeah, it's a random control, treatment, okay? But, again, we have to think about, it is very popular, I know. A lot of my colleagues are doing this. Nobel laureate Abhijit, is doing that. He's doing good work. But before applying for the statistical tests, is the data are independent? Very fundamental criteria of statistical tests, if the data are independent. If you are giving money to a village, 10 people, they are selected randomly, I agree. But then what happens? These 10 people are independent. In the village, everybody knows everybody. As soon as you know that they are, they never got money, the other guy will be really mad. But he was not selected by random selection. So his behavior, you never know. It is not, what I call, the right behavior he might express. So when you are doing this experiment in a limited setup, it is very difficult to even maintain this, simple assumption called independence assumption. So when you come with conclusion with t-test, f-test, ultimately everything boils down to t-test. Before the treatment, with treatment, without the treatment. So I think we have to do this. I am very lucky because I did statistics honors in Nandrapur. So I can just claim that I had a little bit, better education in statistics. It is very important, that you have to understand the data before you apply. You have to know the limitation of your procedure. And you have to be very explicit about this procedure. You cannot just say, okay, I did RCT, okay, it's good. No. You have to explicitly mention whether those statistical methods that you are using are valid. See, the medical authority is very careful, very, very careful medical authority. Otherwise, we had the vaccine 6 months back and it is only available right now. And how many clinical trial it had to go through. You cannot imagine how much clinical trial it had to go through. And that will be the same thing. No, it is the Fisher, whatever he said in 1920, same principle. Randomized assignment. It's the same principle. You cannot get out of the principle. But we are there being, taken care of when we are designing in economics. So I have seen the medicine people, medical authorities, very careful about this, clinical trials. Not only that, in physics, remember physics, when they found the God particles, they took a long time to declare it because they want to minimize the error. And remember our error is 5%. No, remember our significance level is 5%. In physics, the God particles, the significance level, I forgot the number, it is 0.00000 something, in my math teacher, Noe Hon, he taught me. So he used to tell, small number, he said epsilon. So all those, what we call them, those two, they will ask, Nonida, give me an example of epsilon, just for fun. And Noni Bhanj used to give a reply, okay, it is 0.01, that is my epsilon. Okay, so in physics, this level of significance is very, very low because they wanted to make it sure, not exactly 100%, but very close to it, that they really discovered this, particular particle. In physics, they're very careful, but in economics, we are less careful.
Yeah, that the confidence interval they are taking.
Exactly. Yeah. Confidence level, our confidence level is, we are very liberal.
Confidence interval, yeah. Sir, okay, thank you, sir. It was, as you placed all these data things like the way that data itself is nothing unless a reliability should implement in it whenever someone consider of. So that is a very good thing you have said about it. Okay, I hope.
I mean, data plus the statistical procedure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it should be both should match, data collection and the statistical procedure.
Yeah, so I hope participant must be satisfied with this answer. Now I would like to request Dr. Sengupta to continue this webinar.
Thank you, Dr. Dash. I thank all the moderators for conducting the question answer session. Now we have come to the concluding session of our webinar. I request Dr. Torun Pradhan, Head Department of Mathematics, to propose vote of thanks. Dr. Pradhan, over to you.
Good evening, everyone. I consider it a great honor and privilege to propose the vote of thanks for this international webinar on behalf of the Department of Economics, Mathematics, and the UIUC of Dinabandhu and College. First of all, I would like to extend my heartiest thanks to our eminent speaker, Professor Anil Bera from the University of Illinois, United States, for enlightening and inspiring us with his knowledge. The topics which Professor Bera discussed related to economics, mathematics, finance, and statistics were really interesting and also very informative. I am sure that the knowledge that Professor Bera shared with us will help our students, teachers, and other participants to explore different avenues for their future studies and research. Thank you, sir, for finding some time for us from your busy schedule. I extend special thanks to our respected principal, Professor Somnath Mukhopadhyay, for his encouragement and for providing the support to organize this international webinar. Thank you, sir. I would also like to thank the joint conveners, joint coordinators, all members of organizing committee, and my colleagues who really worked hard to make this webinar successful and enjoyable. Thanks to all dignitaries, academicians, and students for their participation, and I express my gratitude to all my colleagues and all staff members of Dinabandhu and College for their support. Once again, thank you everyone for participating in this webinar. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you, Dr. Pradhan, for proposing the vote of thanks. And with due permission from the respected principal, sir, we close the webinar for today. Thank you all. Good night.
Good night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.